This is a Pandemonium Witches podcast, case exclusive. Welcome to the Pandemonium Witches podcast, where the ADHD has just a touch of autism, where the true crime is as scary as the hauntings and unsolved cases. But the hosts never stay on topic for long. I'm Kat.
I'm Rachel.
I'm Em.
And I'm Meg.
Keep your arms, legs, and other extremities in the vehicle at all times. And enjoy the show.
Hello.
I am not okay.
No, me neither.
I heard that clicking halfway through, but it was covered up with barks.
Oh, me clicking the mouse?
Yeah.
Are you sure it wasn't when I was writing?
Oh, probably. Maybe that.
Because I was taking
Notes. Right.
notes. And I figured that would have been a little bit quieter than me sitting here tick-a-tacking.
Which is why I kept hitting the mute button, because I was with the nails, like clickety-clack.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We're starting later than usual.
Just a couple hours later.
10 hours later. We typically start recording at 8:30.
Yes. 8:30 is usually the latest.
Today we started at 9. If you stay to the end of our normal scheduled bullshit, you will hear us have a conversation where we don't swear at all, which I was very surprised at myself for not.
I was quite proud of us.
Thanks. I was too. I didn't swear the whole time. She was lovely.
She was.
We do have a special guest. We're not going to tell you until the end, but we had a special request for today's case, which is actually coming out before any of our other episodes, which I'll probably edit today or tomorrow. So we were reached out by our amazing friend Autumn for today's case. She wrote the following. Hi, I had another idea for a case you could cover. This one is very near and dear to my heart. In Gilbert, Arizona, a friend of mine, Rachel Hansen, was murdered June 4th, 2022. Her case is still unsolved today, and the family is really starting to really push awareness and social media to support to try and find leads. This case has just gone to silent witness, but there are a lot of nuances to the case that could be useful to explore. A week prior to her death, her horse was stolen, which we do talk about with our guest.
Yes.
Initial suspects were the horse thieves, who were eventually cleared by police. She had moved into her apartment just 2 days before her murder, leading most of us to believe the murderer was looking for the previous tenant. She was only 19 years old, and she made the call to 911 herself to say someone had broken down her door and shot her at 2 a.m. The apartment complex stated their cameras hadn't worked in weeks, and as of today, there are no leads or directions at all. Her family has been told by the department to stay relatively quiet, as the case is still open, but they no longer want to sit and wait when they could be gathering social support. In the meantime, Rachel's mom has started a rescue named in Rachel's name to continue the work that Rachel did during her short life. If you'd be interested in covering the case, I can provide more information and have you reach out to her mom. Upon telling Rachel that we were diving into this, or not, well, obviously Rachel here, but, huh?
Rachel.
Rachel. So I'll call you Rach for this case, if you're okay with that.
That's fine.
Okay. Autumn had this to say after us telling her that we're involved in this. Oh, that's amazing. Thank you. Rachel was a phenomenal woman, and she was loved by everyone in the equestrian community. She was kind. Her kind and caring nature led her to be both, I can read, an amazing horsewoman and a friend to everyone who knew her. Her parents started an animal rescue in her honor to continue doing good in the world on her behalf, and they are still fighting like hell every day to find who ended her life prematurely. They've recently gotten the community of Gilbert involved, using the momentum from another tragic ending of a young life, Preston Lord, the Gilbert Goons, to help put pressure on a killer or witnesses to come forward. It's been 2 years since she's left the world, and no one is giving up hope. As always, we are going to be respecting the human and the victim and dehumanizing the killer. But in this situation, since the killer is not apprehended and known, I cried researching this case.
Yeah.
And we cried together.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still tearing up. So I did use a couple of different podcasts and research reports. So the podcasts I used are Detective Perspective, True Crime Arizona, Key to the Case, Truth Be Found, Hunting for Truth, Unsettling Cases of True Horror were the podcasts.
That last one's name is kind of interesting.
Unsettling Cases of True Horror?
I feel like that is literally right. That sounds like what we do on a weekly basis.
I know. I am unsettled 90% of the time.
I mean, granted, but that's because we're feral.
Right. That's being generous. We are feral, but being generous that we're So Derek Levasseur is a private investigator who is the Detective Perspective. 90% of my information came from him because he had the most.
Okay. So him being a detective, and a private investigator, he knew all the right channels to go through.
Correct. And I mean, when I tell you some of the stuff I looked up, I was shocked.
Oh, wow.
Because I found it in a couple of different places, like news articles, but nowhere else. So
he pulled strings to get information.
Right. He also from the Facebook community, from the Reddit community, I have a bunch of different things along with ABC News, Arizona Family, Channel 12 News, couple of TikTok posts and a Reddit post, which we will link to our Facebook if requested, but we do have all the links. So before we dive in, this is a bit of a trigger warning episode, but nothing too graphic. We're not going to go into full detail. So just to let you know, if you have issues with gun violence or breaking and entering, this is not the episode for you, but do send it to your friends, send it to your family. Please get the word out for Rachel so we can get some justice for her. 76% of female victims of homicide are victims of people that they know. 34% are murdered by an intimate partner. That being said, after researching this, I can guarantee you it is not the fiance, it is not the mother, it is not the father, it is not her siblings. And after we had that conversation, I'm just going to say it now because we talked to Kim's mom.
Yeah.
Or Rachel's mom, Kim. Back, reverse, retract. We talked to Rachel's mom, Kim. She is an amazing human. You cried.
I did.
I cried.
She almost cried.
She did cry.
Oh, okay.
I'm still, my right eye, my right eye still tears.
Yep, mine too.
Stroke. Jesus Christ. Decades later, and it's still affecting my tear ducts. Anyways. We're going to get into the details. Are you ready?
Not really, but it needs to be done because this needs to go out.
All right. You guys heard her. We're going to get into it. In the early morning hours of June 4th, 2022, Rachel Hansen, a 19-year-old beloved daughter, fiance, and friend, called 911 to report that an unknown person had come into her Gilbert, Arizona apartment and shot her while she was sleeping. You and I both know she didn't say exactly that.
Right.
She said she was shot.
Yes.
First responders got Rachel to the hospital, which I'll be getting that information and sending another episode later on once we get that information from Kim. And I can give you guys just a little bit more information to go on, so that way we can really narrow down who her killer is and bring Rachel's murderer to justice.
Get that noose tied up and hopefully get it around
somebody's neck.
And yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it's been 2 years since Rachel was killed. Her anniversary is just last month.
Yeah.
Investigators state that they are still searching for the person responsible. I personally called Gilbert PD. They told me they couldn't help me and hung up on me. I'm angry.
That's just rude.
I was on hold for 45 minutes. You know me, I'm a good recovering Catholic. I can wait. I can wait.
And then it'd be like, and be so rude about it. Like,
right. The audacity was on sale. So
they bought all of it.
They did. This case is an enigma, and it hasn't been that many years. Like, a bunch of our cases we cover are from the 50s, the 60s, the 1800s. This was 2 years ago.
Right.
We have no idea who's murdered Rachel.
Especially with technology nowadays. Everybody's got Ring cameras, something.
I wrote that down. That is my next point of contention. Even though there's all these fancy new gizmos to help solve these kinds of cases, and she was able to call 911 to report her murder, nobody knows exactly what happened.
Because I feel like somebody's not asking the right questions.
Correct. And I think, by having more people come out about it, we're going to be able to...
a little bit more pressure on the police department.
Under pressure. But
they need to be under a lot of pressure.
Let's talk about Rachel.
Okay.
Rachel Ann Hansen was born June 12th of 2002. Bunch of twos. It's a good number. As a child, her and her younger sister were abandoned by their birth mother, which caused them to go into the foster system. That alone is traumatizing for anyone.
Oh, yeah.
In 2008, Rachel was 5 years old. At this point, her and her sister met a couple named Kim and Todd Hansen. They lived in Gilbert, Arizona. By May 14th of 2009, the Hansens officially adopted both of the sisters, making them a family. Years later, when she was able to, she got the date tattooed in her arm in Roman numerals.
But, like, the fact that the sisters were adopted together is huge.
The sister was adopted first. Rachel was adopted.
But the fact that they were willing to
adopt both,
take them both.
Mm-hmm. Which is unheard of in most cases.
Yeah. A lot of times siblings are split up and they never see each other again.
And even with non-blood siblings, people who have been in foster homes together over the years and they move home to home, a lot of people don't...
They develop a bond.
Right, and they don't want to keep them together a bunch of the times. But as you know from talking to Kim, she is a phenomenal woman.
Yes.
So nice. I am so grateful to have met her. I'm sad of the circumstances.
I know, me too.
But I'm grateful that we're able to do their story justice.
Yes.
A month after the adoption, the family started to celebrate Rachel's 6th birthday, which, of course, was like a month later. This is when she told her mom, Kim, she wanted a pony. I love ponies. You know that.
I mean, I feel like most little girls around that age, they want a pony.
Well, yes. I love cows. I wanted to ride a cow like a pony, but that's just me because I'm weird.
That was a little different, though.
Yeah, that's the autism. Kim and Todd realized her love of horses and bought her a course shortly thereafter, even though she had never taken riding lessons at this point. But she was a natural.
Gotta start somewhere, though. Everybody does.
Well, you heard Kim. She's a natural.
Yeah.
When interviewed by the Gilbert Sun, which is the local Arizona newspaper there, Kim said she had a natural gift. She was very good with horses, and she never met a horse she couldn't get on.
Including wild horses.
Which we talk about with her mom. Oh my gosh. So, definitely, you and I both know how therapeutic animals are.
Oh, yes.
Let alone horses. So, I mean, the fact that Rachel became so in what's the word? Intertwined?
Enthralled?
Enthralled with horses. It started to heal some part of her, especially the one that the part of her that was affected by being in the foster system and being abandoned by her birth mom.
Yeah.
So, a lot of people, especially in all of the research that I done, stated that Rachel was kind, caring, and loving. Um, Direct quote from one of her friends: "It was hard to have a bad day around Rachel. She was the sweetest person and no doubt a lot of people's best friend." And Kim told the newspaper again when she was young, 10 years old, she would take her wagon and walk around the block and go to neighbors and ask for food donations. She helped with several barrel races and auctioned off items for a friend of hers with a serious medical condition. She was always going above and beyond to supporting causes of people she loved. Already starting out, teenager, typically that's when you get into your For me, it was going to raves and doing drugs and sneaking out of the house. For
her, it was fundraising and helping those less fortunate.
Right, training horses, rehabbing horses, doing the fundraisers and donations. And I'm just sitting here like, you are an amazing human. So Rachel dreamed of owning a dog rescue, but until they were able to afford it, her and her mom fostered dogs.
Which is still
huge.
Yes.
Fostering dogs is hard. So
I get attached to them too easily, so I have to tell myself no.
Well, Josh keeps wanting to buy a dog, and I'm like, look, I'd love to. However, you gonna train it? He goes, no, we can just get one from the pound. We still have to train it.
There's still training that needs to get involved.
We got to make sure they are potty trained and know not to dig and all that other stuff. So at 14, she began teaching writing lessons. And when she didn't do that, she was an all-American kid. She did wrestling, soccer, football, horses. She just social butterfly. Like, everybody loved her. So at 16, she graduated early and started a business after graduation where she trained, hauled, and sold horses. She had a huge client base. She also rescued wild Mustangs on federal land and horses who had been abused by their caretakers and owners, which we did talk to her mom a little bit about that.
Yeah.
By early 2022, she started to grow her business a little bit more, and that's when she got her real estate license. She wanted to find homes that had enough acreage so that way they could have livestock and horses and be able to raise them. During this time, she became engaged to her fiance, Jomette Bailey, and they had plans for a fall wedding in August of 22. At May 2022, Dash was stolen, which was her mare.
Her pregnant mare.
Mm-hmm. Not only was she upset that Dash was stolen, but Dash was pregnant, and she was very excited about the pregnancy. But as you know, horses stay pregnant for a pretty long time.
Yeah, roughly a year.
Roughly, yeah. At the beginning of June, Dash was still missing, so it's only been a month. June 2nd, Rachel moved into her own apartment, which I sent you the address. Do you want me to send it again?
No, I've got it.
Okay. That apartment complex is not a gated community. Even though the website states it's a gated community, I looked online on Google Images. which were taken in the last 2 years, there's no gate. You can't say you're a gated community.
Right.
Without a gate. As talking to Kim, it was so close to the house, less than 3 miles away. She had previously lived in the apartment in 2021, but in December she subleased it, and then late spring 2022 she came back. Mind you, there were only 4 days in between her asking and her moving in.
That's not a lot of time.
No, it's not. And I think it was just one of those things where it's in between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah.
She didn't really have a choice. June 3rd, her and her fiance Joe met. They had dinner, went to the pool at the complex, which there are cameras for there, and it did show them at the pool, and then went back to the apartment and watched a movie. Kim stated with ABC 15 she spoke on the phone at around 9 p.m. that night. Rachel seemed completely normal. She was happy about getting into her new apartment and expressed feeling safer and happier being close to home. Before getting off the phone, Kim told her that she would come over on Sunday to help her unpack. She said, "I love you," and hung up. And that was the last
Unfortunately, it was the last time they spoke.
And this kills me because we talked to her. And it just, if I talk about it too much, I'm going to cry.
I know.
Okay,
I'll take over.
Okay. I'm sorry.
At about midnight, Joe left Rachel's apartment because he had to be up early the next day.
Which I don't understand why he just didn't stay.
I don't either. And I'm sure he's, to this day, still kicking himself about it.
Probably, but then both of them would be dead.
Yes. Or the door still would have been locked.
Right. And
because, like her mom said, the door, like most, like I say most, a good portion of apartments have these days. You have the doorknob, and then you have the deadbolt, and then you have the additional deadbolt. Right. And usually you have like a chain or something.
Her deadbolt is one of the ones that has the keys on both sides. That's what her mom was saying, is that you had to lock it with the key.
Okay. Because what I kind of got from that was that, because usually with the deadbolt, so one of the two deadbolts is you can only lock it from the inside, and there's no way to have a key to unlock it from the outside,
like what I have on the front door.
Yeah, and then there's another one where it's, you can lock it from the outside, but you can also unlock it or you can lock it from the outside or unlock it from the outside on top of having the doorknob.
Right.
Either way, Kim's told us that Jomette had had told Rachel, come lock the door because he was leaving. She said she would. He came back a few minutes later. She still hadn't locked the door. Woke her up again. And she said, "Yeah, I will," basically. And he then left, assuming that she actually would.
Right.
Unfortunately, she didn't. And it was the last time he would see her as well. At about 2 a.m. on June 4th, 2022, Rachel called 911 and said in the recorded phone call that she had been shot and basically to please send help.
Right. But that's not what was released in any of the news documents or any of the official police documents
Yes.
They said, I've been shot by somebody I don't know, which is not, no,
Not what she would have said, according to her mom.
right. And for those of you who don't know, who are just like, who, her mom doesn't know. No, her mom and her were best friends.
Yeah, they were very close.
Super, super close.
So from what the Gilbert Sun reported, uh, that Rachel was on her back when she was shot, and that the angle suggested that the bullet entered from her lower left abdomen and exited through her top right shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
But after shooting, the assailant fled.
Right.
I just wanted to add in that um, Rachel had two dogs in the bed with her, a Boston Terrier puppy
Mm-hmm.
and a medium to larger size dog that recently got adopted.
We love that.
Um,
Can we just have a happy moment for just for that? Because,
yes.
good Lord.
Um, the larger dog was, never the same after that um, because it was traumatic for her. But because the two dogs were in the bed with her, they were lucky they weren't shot in the process. Um, the bed that Rachel was on, they she and her fiance had just brought in the box spring and the mattress up, moving it. So,
There are
but
no
like
elevators at her apartment complex. I did look, even though most apartments are supposed to be handicap accessible, nothing.
they have to be able to offer them first floor apartments, and it's fine. It's what they're.
That's pucky. Is, you know what?
I
That's a load of bologna is what I
know.
have to say about that.
Um, so the box spring and the mattress were on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so and like she didn't have very much in the
Furniture.
apartment in the apartment at all
Right.
because again she was just moving back in. So it her mom said she had some clothes, she had the mattress and the box spring, and that was really about it. There was nothing really to steal.
She had a couple of
So
knickknacks, nothing really of any
but anything
consequence.
that would have been worth a breaking and entering
Mm-mm.
was at her parents.
But we'll discuss that in a second because it's further down,
Yes.
yeah, in the notes.
Um so as the shooter was running away, fucking coward, um Rachel was able to get to her cell phone
Yep.
and call 911 to get help. From the reports, it appeared that she had made her way to the bathroom, likely to tend to her injuries there. Um, whether or not that is actually
What happened?
what happened is it's hearsay right now.
Right.
Um, but I guess when the medics got there, they did find her in the bathroom
Mm-hmm.
on the floor. So she might have ran into the bathroom, or she might have ran into the bathroom because adrenaline to try to put an extra door between herself and
Whoever
the
was in the
shooter.
house, right? Because you and I both know if you're in the bedroom, from the layouts that I sent you of the apartments, if you go
Yeah.
from the bedroom, the bathroom is the one door that locks in between that room and the other.
Yeah. So it would make more sense that she went in there to try to create distance for herself.
Barricade, yeah.
Um, she was rushed to the hospital where the surgeons that were on staff that night worked on her for 30 hours to try and save her. However, uh, she ended up succumbing to her injuries and she passed that morning. She was 8 days away from celebrating her 20th birthday. So the police went to her apartment while she was in surgery and to try and put together what the puzzle pieces that they could find were. The Gilbert Sun News stated that it was unclear how Rachel's killer entered the apartment,
But after talking to
which
her mom,
we gained evidence. We gained some more, insight on that.
and we'll talk about that at the end.
Yes. So while it was a unlocked door, it was still a break-in because he ended up or they ended up kicking in the bedroom door that was shut.
Mm-hmm.
And the police, I'm hoping, were able to get a clear print of the shoe that he left.
From what she said, yes.
Good.
So, but we can't discuss what type of shoe because we don't know what type of shoe. It can only be speculated.
It's all very hush hush.
So,
and right now, I would like to put a boot up the killer's ass.
I want to read this next part because
yes,
this part, from living in the ghetto, you've seen the places that I've lived.
Right.
I've shared pictures. You've known me for a decade, maybe more, because I've known Sarah for 15. I've known Katie for 15.
Right.
I've obviously known you for more.
Or about the same.
About the same. Some of the places that I lived, even though they weren't gated communities, they had cameras on the entrance, the exit, the stairs, the hallways, the laundry room, the front office where you would drop the payments off. They had cameras
at least the parking lot.
Oh yeah, different angles from the parking lots. There was one from up here, one from up here, two on basic level. So even if somebody blacked out the ones down here, you still had the aerial cameras up at the top.
Right.
The fact that it has been a cold case for 2 years, they could have installed cameras for a decent, cheap price. Mm-hmm. Have a server backup on the property and a backup somewhere else in storage. Okay, that's my number one. We shouldn't have to worry about the safety of our own homes or selves without having the correct surveillance. And from what her mom told me previously, and from what Holly confirmed, is that there is security. But nobody heard anything? So, common areas.
It seems very suspicious.
Right. Common areas, I completely understand. Garage, parking structure, hallway, stairwells, elevators, etc. There are no elevators. But they weren't.
So that just knocked that off.
They weren't in stairwells. They weren't on the hallways. I would understand up, like when you get to the hallway, having a camera pointed down on that landing would have been great. However, nothing. Stated in my notes, my old complex in downtown San Jose had cameras on every floor, hallway, stairwell, elevator, everything. One in each elevator, as well as the common areas, as well as the laundry facilities. That is how her apartment should have been. Mm-hmm. She should have been protected. But I looked up at Arizona state law. You know what they said?
They don't have to.
They don't have to. They have to have it in the common areas where people typically congregate, but they don't need to have it anywhere else.
I would have thought at least in the parking lots, even facing the bottom of the stairs, just that way you could see somebody coming and going kind of thing.
There's a play structure on site. They have to have a camera towards that because of minors. Mm-hmm. Towards the common area where the pool is and the laundry. That's it.
That's bullshit.
With having that, even having access to something like Ring or what's that other one?
There's a bunch of different ones.
ADP, you can have up to 36 cameras. 36. Mm-hmm. That's a lot of. My chair keeps going down. So 36 is a lot of cameras. So no notable point. No surveillance camera can be used, even from the neighbors, which Holly did let me know that. She went searching. Nothing. You want to know the worst part about this?
Cops didn't even ask, did they?
They did. No one saw nothing. Saw nothing. Heard nothing. They talked to they shared a wall. They talked to their next door neighbors and they said they didn't hear anything and they felt terrible because they shared a wall.
Mm. That leads me to believe that the shooter had most likely a silencer on his gun.
Probably more than likely, or used a pillow or something. But even then, like, I don't think.
But a pillow would have changed the trajectory of the bullet.
Of the bullet, right?
Usually, because this is, I watch too much true crime.
We all
And
do. We all
and
do.
and autism rabbit holes. Usually, when you're using a pillow to muffle the noise, it's usually because you have the pillow right against the person you're going to, or the thing you're going to shoot, because otherwise it goes off everywhere else.
And like, here's the thing: is that there were only a couple of feet from the door to her bed.
Yeah,
It wasn't that much space. By the way, guys, we have no access to the police report. Like I said earlier, this is just speculation, but we do have access to the floor layouts for the entire apartment complex, so we can pretty much base fact off of that.
because that's public access.
The more you know. So, we're trying to keep this light because Rachel can tell you, I've been working on this case for a month.
It's very emotionally and mentally draining.
It really was. Because not only was she loved by everyone, she had no enemies, no conflicts. No, I get into conflicts daily, but that's because of my mouth. No.
And mostly because your face
listen
usually ends up showing what your
listen, Linda. Listen, all right.
Just saying. If your mouth don't say it, your face does.
Okay, fair. So she had no conflicts, no arguments to speak of, no illegal activities, no addictions to substances. When I talked to her mom previously, I've talked to her once on the phone. I recorded the whole thing. I listened to it twice just so I can get questions. She was squeaky clean. That's what all the reports stated. Squeaky clean.
And not very many people are squeaky clean.
Like even the detective, Derek, detective perspective, he said there was nothing in her background. Nothing. Not even stolen gum, you know? I stole gum when I was 5. My mom beat, not beat, but, you know, I mean, there were nuns involved in church. Anyways.
You wish you'd been beaten.
I did. So, her friend Cheyenne had a message for the killer. So if you're listening, I really hope you are. Pay attention. She was 19. She had a whole life ahead of her, and he took it away. You didn't give her a chance to show everybody who she was and what she was capable of. You didn't give her the chance to grow as a person. You didn't give her the chance to even find out who she truly was. You took that from her. You took that from her in every way, shape, and form, and it's not okay. It's not all right. She deserves justice.
She does.
I couldn't agree more. So of course, you know, I had to go to the message boards. Social media and keyboard warriors. You and I both hate them. Because they throw too much speculation into the mix. They don't go behind. They don't go in depth. Some thought that her senseless murder was linked to the theft of Dash, which we, you know, knocked out. They had been harassing Rachel over posts, the people who had stolen Dash. She was selling all of her things to be able to come up with the money to pay for Dash. So one chimed in stating, I feel it was the people that stole her horse and made many threats. They wanted ransom money and was threatening her from Facebooks. It's an ugly situation. People can't type. A lot of people can't type. Police have not confirmed anything that was mentioned in these comments, but they are considering various motives and diligently pursuing all tips and leads. from my research, they were able to negate that it was the horse thieves, that they had
Mm-hmm.
nothing to do with the situation. It was unfortunately within the same time parameters. They apparently were able to return the horse shortly after she had died, which sucks. And I hate that. Um, but after Rachel's death, Jomette did move in. I believe Kim said 5 months.
Yes.
Um, and she immediately felt closer to Rachel, like having a piece of her there. He still comes to dinner 2 to 3 nights a week. Um, I have a quote from him. He told Local 12 News about his grief. Just getting through my days, just waking up every day, not to see her by my side. That's all I woke up to every day. We're supposed to get married. I was supposed to spend my whole life with Rachel, and now I just have to live. Kim stated, I was an absolute shock, just really hard. I just miss her so much. She was such a huge part of my world. And it's just so very difficult, not only missing her, but understanding such a senseless act. Sorry.
You want to take over?
No, I'll be fine. She's just, God, I hate this.
Anyways, so Kim stated that the police were investigating all leads, any and all leads, and let it be known that the theft of the horse and Rachel's murder were completely unrelated. She then stated that Dash was found and was living uh, with her currently, but no other details were given. After that, very little details emerged about Rachel's case. Um, Kim stated that basically um, she doesn't really hear much here lately from the police. Um, just that they've pretty much just keep hitting dead ends.
Right.
Um, so, in memoriam for Rachel, uh, Kim and Todd got matching. Well, not exactly matching tattoos. They got matching but different tattoos.
Right. Kim's was mirror image of Rachel's.
Yes. Which was a line from one of Rachel's favorite songs, stating, "In oceans deep, my faith will stand." While
Todd.
Todd, sorry, I don't know where I got Tim from. Todd stated, or Todd got Roman numerals of June 4th, 2022, which was unfortunately the day of Rachel's death.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Obviously, most people don't consider death dates normal, especially to have tattooed on them. We do. Um, I have several memorial pieces on myself,
I do
and
too.
I know you do too.
Mm-hmm. I have
Um,
4.
Something like that.
Hold on. No, I gotta count. Okay.
I
Yeah, I have 4. I have 4.
only have two currently, but I do plan on getting more.
Right.
Well, not fortunately, but
I'm it's fortunate for our skin, unfortunate for our heart.
yes.
Yes.
So Todd stated that he didn't find this hurtful or painful, but rather that it reminds him of the happiness she brought to them and that Rachel is with him everywhere he goes. Kim has a letter R necklace that she wears every day to remind her of Rachel.
Yeah. And it
Um,
was a gift that she did give Rachel. So it is something
it's
that,
even more meaningful.
yeah.
So, as we mentioned earlier, her parents did found a founded a dog rescue, which they called Rachel's Rescue in memory of her. but they not only rescue dogs, but they also take care of them mentally and physically and try to find them their forever homes, which is amazing.
It's exactly what
But
she would have wanted.
exactly, it's exactly what she would have wanted, and exactly what she did when she was alive.
Right. Which,
Rachel, as I was like, I was going to start on the next part. That Rachel had pestered her mom for years prior to partner with her and start a rescue. And Kim said she was originally hesitant because she didn't want to handle the business side of it. She just wanted to take care of the dogs.
right,
She
which
didn't want to
she
didn't want to
talked
handle
about.
the finances or anything.
I totally get it. You heard the dogs. They were so
Oh yeah.
cute. I mean,
Yes.
I'm not cutting any of that out.
Oh no.
No, I don't care what you guys say. I mean, you guys have heard the episodes where Rachel's friend's
But I'm
dogs
dog sitting, so
squeaking in the
going off.
background. I, it brings us a little levity, you know?
Yes. However, once Rachel had passed, Kim decided that she needed to honor her daughter, fulfill the dream of having the dog rescue.
Right.
So she did. She started it, and this way she spreads Rachel's story and love for people and animals with the world.
So
So
I'm gonna go. Okay.
yeah.
So, they did have one thing to say about living without Rachel, that the only thing that would make living without Rachel even bearable would be justice.
Vengeance.
Vengeance, yes. We would all like to be Batman in this situation.
Sorry. That's all I can say. That's what popped in my head. Tired brain.
No. You're fine. I want justice for her.
Yes.
Um,
She deserves it.
she does. Kim interviewed with Arizona Family, which is another local news source. Nothing will obviously bring her back, which she also stated to us. This will never change. But it would be helpful for us in healing to bring some sort of closure in finding this person. As of June 2023, detectives still have more questions than answers. As I told Kim in an earlier call, this is the worst game of Clue I have ever played in my entire life, and I don't like it.
Right.
Not only is there no motive, there are no suspects.
Worst find Waldo
Ever.
ever.
So originally, Kim was stating that she met with the detective every couple of months and that they were working on the case. And then it just stopped. She said that they didn't share much with the family at all. I grew up with medical and police. You knew that.
Yeah.
EMTs, police, firefighters. It is common for an active investigation, they don't bring out key details. However, if you ask for a police report, they'll give you a redacted one. If you ask for a medical examiner's report, they'll give you a redacted one.
Even if it's just a couple of words that aren't redacted out, it's still something.
It's still something.
It's something in hand.
In hand. You just want answers.
And to feel validated and listened to.
Right. The fact that they have not given the family anything enrages me to my core. So I did reach out to a couple of my friends who are still in the force back in California. Sonoma, San Jose, San Francisco. I called my friends. You know what they all said?
That's bullshit.
That's bullshit. The same answer from everyone. Those assholes. Those bastards. That's bullshit. Same phrase. Same phrase. Different swearing verbiages, but still.
Right.
So, although very upsetting to the family, they won't be able to get the access to the reports if the case is never solved.
Correct.
Kim said, "It is so disappointing and so frustrating as a parent going through this situation that the only people we have to rely on to get information is the police."
Mm-hmm.
It may be slightly chilly, not completely cold. It may be slightly chilly, but it's still an open investigation. So the police have met them a few times, and although they can't give her parents anything, you need to know this is an active investigation.
Yeah.
Even if nothing's publicized, it's still considered active. Do you know when it stops being active?
When it's solved.
No.
Or it goes cold completely.
Do you know when it becomes a cold case?
I think it's after a couple of years. 3 years, yeah. We're already 2 years in.
Right. So even the smallest crumb from the public will be
Tiniest little tidbit.
anything. So in February of this year, Kim reached out to the Gilbert Sun News. She stated that she and Todd had met with detectives and received some terrible news that Rachel's case is going inactive.
Yeah.
And it will stay unless somebody speaks up.
Yeah.
This is where we get to the nitty-gritty of things, guys. This is where we are requiring your whole attention. So put on your listening ears.
Put on your listening ears.
Let's get into it. The police have done everything. You and I did that at the same time, man.
I know.
Police have done everything that they can possibly do, along with investigating and ruling out leads, and still coming up with nothing. Their only option was to reach out to Silent Witness. We love Silent Witness. They have closed a bunch of cases. My friends in Silent Witness as well. We haven't heard anything yet, but we're still hope.
Yes. So they reached out to the Silent Witness chapter in Phoenix because that's the closest chapter to them.
Mm-hmm. And they agreed to put out information. Originally offered a $2,000 reward. $5,000 was later added, bringing the current total to $7,000.
Which is
huge pot.
A good chunk.
Huge pot. They were hopeful. Rachel's parents have stated that they're hopeful about the case being solved, about some answers being out there. But her father stated that he isn't really optimistic, which I completely understand.
Yeah.
People grieve in different ways.
It's already been this long.
Right. And the last thing that you have is that optimism fleeting.
Mm-hmm.
And so Kim is still very much in the angry moment. We love to see that.
Yes.
We love it because you get things done when you're angry. But let's see here. She has stated, we just want resolve for herself to the fact that we may likely never know who took Rachel's life. So, same, February 2024, they spoke with ABC 15 News, and they asked what they wanted to say to the killer.
Yeah.
Todd stated that he worked hard to keep hate out of his house since Rachel's murder. His house is still full of love, and that the killer did not win. Todd also stated that they are waiting for the killer to tell someone what happened, which will hopefully make it back to law enforcement. He also stated, if you've heard something, please talk. Please talk. We miss her badly. The world misses her badly. Although waiting for answers in their daughter's death, they're still working hard on the rescue.
Yeah. It's giving her mom
a
reason right now to get up every day.
I have to say, talking about the rescue, her face lit up.
Oh yes, because those dogs are giving her a sense of purpose.
They're so damn
which
cute.
Is what she needs.
She sent me photos. The dogs are adorable. I want them.
Well, of course.
I love puppies.
It's why I couldn't foster, because I would be foster failing every single dog.
Right.
Every single animal.
So Holly,
you're saying here.
Holly left me some notes because I gave her access to the notes. I was like,
yeah,
if you see anything, put some things in here. She goes, Joe met the fiance, left at 12 midnight. Did he slink out? Did he lock the door when he left? Did he remember to take his key? Which those questions get answered later with Kim.
Yes.
The door, the police stated that it was just shut. Was it damaged? Intact? We'll talk about that later.
Well, we kind of talked about it a little bit earlier too.
We did. But let's see here. Ow. Sorry. Keep hurting myself. In the neighborhoods that I lived in, if you hear a door being kicked in, we talked downtown San Jose, we had SWAT in the apartment next door. My neighbor got swatted. Good
it's
grief.
A solid kick.
It is it is guttural. Like, you hear it. And we felt
like what? Go ahead. So basically, what gets me is usually bedroom doors, they're hollow.
Hmm.
So how did he not put his foot through the door?
Right. Sorry, I got really excited right then. I'm saying, you see, okay. And of course, you tell me to do this before we started. Hold on.
So everybody knows. Before we sat down and got started, uh, I told her, "Do you need to pee?" "No, I don't need to pee." And I'm like, "You should probably go and try anyways." "No, it's fine. I don't need to pee." Guess who has to pee now? But anyways, so what I was saying is that usually bedroom doors are hollow because, but I don't know about this apartment complex. Usually, exterior doors, they're solid, steel, solid wood, some type of metal. Exterior doors are usually really solid,
Yes.
which is why usually when the exterior door gets kicked in or a gets a budding ram against it, you can feel it because it's shaking.
Well,
Um,
when the SWAT,
Interior doors are usually hollow
right,
because they're not meant to be kept out of keeping out outside forces.
it's made with that really pliable, not just like
Yes.
plywood,
Well, so it's like almost like particle board.
almost like corrugated cardboard. It's so thin.
Yes.
Like,
So I don't know how they are in these apartments, but like they're like even if the the sides of it are wood, it's hollow on the inside.
right.
So him putting his foot kicking in the door
Hmm.
should have put his foot through the door,
Right. And I mean,
which is what I don't get. Unless he hit the doorknob or something, but then it doesn't make sense with
right. Uh,
just so many things.
right. And I mean, like, we talked a little bit about it with Kim. I want to dive into the quote unquote conspiracies.
Yes.
Um, One that I quickly shot down was the horse ransom and theft,
Yeah.
which you see all my questions,
Yeah.
but you see how I put the answer up above.
Mm-hmm.
Not only was the horse returned and nothing else was heard from them afterwards, there were no posts. All the posts and the Facebook accounts and the everything that was linked to the original post for Rachel, all of it was redacted and deleted. Um,
Yeah.
my ex, I lived in California. His family owned a horse stable. I didn't think that the horse was valued as a thoroughbred. I did contact him and I was like, dude, because Autumn lives in the UK and I was like, I can't. So I called Simon. Anyways, Simon didn't answer. Called another friend of mine and I was like, hey, do you think this horse would have been a thoroughbred? And they said, no, probably not. They probably took her because she was pregnant and because she won so many races.
Yeah.
And because of how well she was taken care of, they probably thought she was a thoroughbred. Um, the next I want to do is number 4. We'll go to number 2 in a second. Previous tenants are connected to the case, and there's an instance of mistaken identity.
Which is possible.
It is possible because I found out that the previous tenants were drug dealers.
Mm-hmm.
From what Kim told me in a previous conversation was that when she went to the apartment to get some of her things, and they were cleaning up the apartment to move in, there were disgusting baby diapers everywhere.
Oh my god.
It was like a hoarder
There was
house.
a child living
There
in
was
there?
a
Oh my
child living
god.
there, and I'm sitting here going, how could you let your child live in, not Rachel, but how could you live an infant
Right.
live in these situations?
People are disgusting.
So I did find out her name. I'm not going to release it, but I did find out the name of the previous tenant. Holly is squirrel holing on that one. If you guys don't know squirrel holing by now, please look it up. It's where you go down a rabbit hole and it offshoots. Just you go into different little do 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 do. What?
I was gonna say I think it's more like mole holing or
Mermat.
gopher holing.
Mercat.
rabbit holing,
Mercat.
because
Just mercatting it.
yeah, the meerkat holing, yeah, because squirrels don't really do holes like
I
that.
don't know why
But
it's called squirrel holing them, but it's
I don't know. Probably because ground squirrels.
oh maybe. There was no sexual assault, which I do have to say I'm
Thankfully.
very, very thankful for. Um, this person shot Rachel while she was in her bed. It was at a weird angle. The shooter must have been the same side as Rachel, same height, because of the angle of the shot and how when they walk, just from what it sounds like. I know I'm
Right.
not making sense, and it's kind of like, burr, 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 but it makes sense in my brain, and that's what matters.
From
Um,
where we were told the entry and the exit wound were, is where it's getting confusing.
right, because there's two different accounts, and I'm like, let me get more information, so I'm going to update you guys on that after I get the information.
Yes.
But I'm going to post this to get everything out as much as we can. There is still no access to the 911 recording, but typically with stalkers, which we'll discuss in a second, they tend to be more up close and personal. I've had a stalker. I don't know if you've had a stalker.
Thankfully, no.
I've had a few. They're not fun. Um, there are often SA occurrences with stalkers. I've had 3 stalkers. I've only had 1 SA occurrence with them. 1 out of 3 is not bad. I would rather not have any of them, but here we are. There is no touching. They literally just broke in and shot her.
And then ran away.
And then ran away. Last plausible thought is a stalker.
Yeah.
Everyone on this show is a woman or identifies as a woman or female presenting and has either had someone follow them, stalk them, or give them unwanted attention. So this is definitely a viable theory, and this is the only one that I am actually leaning towards.
Yeah.
Because it's not the fiance. It's not the parents. It's not the siblings. Not the friends.
I'm still wondering if it was somebody who was infatuated with her that went to her shows or something. And
Right. Or maybe saw her at her other job, which we do talk about with Kim. But the questions that I had for myself were, who were her neighbors? Did they see her every day? Did they know her routine? Did someone live nearby that had an obsession or a fascination with her, and that's why the cops ruled them out, is because they saw them
yeah,
day after day on the tapes, and
they just went, oh, it's nobody important, and
right,
just brushed it off.
right. So Kim had told the news that they didn't take anything, nothing was stolen, nothing was missing. And so I'm going to offer this to the Possum Party community. After hearing all the facts out there, Rachel, what theory do you have?
I mean, I'm kind of like, at first I was skeptical of the fiance, just and of the horse thieves, just because just the timing of everything just
it doesn't
didn't make
match.
sense.
Right.
But I think honestly it might have been a stalker that had followed them and waited for Joe to leave.
Right.
And just happened to get lucky that the door is unlocked, and when he kicked in the door, I think he was startled by the fact the dogs were in the bed.
And that's why he probably only they.
Yeah, they I'm assuming he.
Right.
But the reason why they only fired 1 shot, because for all we know, the dogs could have started barking, which is really what's weird, that, the neighbors didn't say anything, but they probably just went, oh, the dog's barking there.
And just disregarded it.
Yeah. Oh, the dog's barking again. It is what it is. And so the older dog, I mean, might have went up to him and did something that caused him even to like lose balance or something. And so when they fired the gun, that's why it went the way it did, because it might have entirely been a misfire, but because if they were just trying to scare her, but we don't know.
Right.
Um,
Um,
there's a lot of unanswered questions and a lot of things I want to ask, but until
we get more information.
yeah, to kind of work through these unanswered questions, and before until I can kind of sort it out and uh, put them all into like their own little boxes and organized.
Right. We need to squirrel hole everything.
Yes.
No, that's the wrong thing. Mole hole. Anyways, so I did have a phone call prior with Kim, and I just wanted to get to know her and Rachel before we got started with her story.
Yeah.
Rachel was working at a horse ranch during the summer to get before it gets unbridled hot. Direct words. And then she worked at a club as a waitress to get more funds. She didn't work there for long, but this woman by the name of Joy Marie, who's also a dancer with the phone number on her profile, I didn't want to reach out to her because I wanted to find her profile and just message her on Facebook, not the phone number, because I don't want to.
Yeah.
That's private. She had reached out to Kim and let her know that she should be aware that she worked there, and the cops never reached out to anyone at the club. Let me say that again.
Weird.
I know you just gave me that look. She had stated to Kim, the cops never reached out to anyone at the club.
But I'm sure they were made aware of that as a previous job.
Yep. Joy Marie did reach out to the cops, from what I found out.
So it's weird that they didn't follow up with it.
And they didn't follow up with any of the leads that they were given that a stalker may have been involved. Now you can see why I'm so focused on the fact that there was a stalker.
Yeah. Because it really sounds like there was a stalker.
Yeah.
And he didn't mean to shoot her.
Right.
Because he was probably infatuated with her, and it was just entirely a scare tactic. And really, then that's why he ran, because, oh shit, I just shot her. And being a coward, ran away.
So we did reach out to Kim this morning before we filmed this part of the show.
Yes.
So as you guys know, we do a lot of missing persons cases and unsolved mysteries and haunted houses and true crime. Today is a very special day because we do have a special guest with us. Rachel, do you know who our special guest is?
Not quite.
Okay. So
I know you've been talking to her recently.
I have. She's very, very nice. We have the lovely Miss Kim Hansen with us. How you doing?
Thank you. Thank you.
You're
Good.
welcome. So, I know it was not publicly talked about a lot, your daughter's case, and it has recently gained a lot of notoriety in the last 2 years because nobody's talking about it as far as not police cases, but it's been silent on the Western Front, as it were.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk a little bit about Rachel and let us know?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. Well, first of all, I would say part of the reason, the reason that it has been silent is that is what we were told by the police department to do. As if we said anything, it would hinder their investigation. So
Right.
we just did exactly what they told us and kept it very quiet. And then as more time has gone on, we've realized it was more that they were just brushing it under the rug, unfortunately. So since then, we have been trying to get it out there and get it known a lot more. So June 4th was 2 years. And Rachel was our 19-year-old daughter who had just moved to an apartment of her own, close to home, only 3 miles down the road from our home. And it was their second night in the apartment when she was killed.
Oh, wow.
Had she lived in that apartment previously?
She had lived in it. She rented it by herself, I believe, in around June or July of 2021, and lived in it for 6 months when she was hired by a ranch to go work with horses on their property and live there also. And so she had been living on this ranch in an area called Queen Creek, only about 20 to 30 minutes from home, where she kept her mare and the horses that she worked with and trained. She moved there in December of 21. And so when she did, she subleased her apartment to someone else.
Okay.
Because she had, I think, signed a lease for a year. So she subleased it to another person so she could move out to the ranch. And then when that employment terminated, kind of mutually, but she was no longer going to work at the ranch, she needed her apartment back. And so she had asked the people that were subleasing to move out only 4 or 5 days before.
Yeah, I remember reading it was pretty close to before.
Right. Kind of rushed. So they moved out, and she was in the process of moving back in. All of her belongings were in our garage because she had moved out of the casita out on the property. And her dad and brothers just helped her load everything up and brought it back to our house. And so, being only the second night in the apartment, all she had there was her bed, like the frame and mattress, and just a few clothes.
Just some odds and ends.
Yes. Yeah. Had not fully moved in, but was in the process.
Okay.
Do you know, Rachel brought up a good point this morning when she was driving home. Do you know if she had changed her locks when she moved in?
Yes, the day before, her fiance had changed the lock on the door. Okay. But unfortunately, it was the kind of lock that he just found it in his dad's garage or whatever. You had to have a key to lock it from the outside. And so when her fiance left the apartment at about midnight, he told her to get up and lock the door. And he started to leave, and she said she would, but she didn't. And so he came back in and woke her up again and said, get up and lock the door because I can't lock it from the outside. And we think that she never did. We think the door was unlocked.
Because that's from, because I watched a couple of YouTubes and I watched the news video that you sent me along with the 3 other videos that I did find on my own. And from what it appears, it was that there were some nuances on the front door, but her one of the doors was broken in.
I think that is referring to her bedroom door. The door into the apartment was not broken into. The jamb was not bent, or it wasn't kicked or anything like that. The door into the apartment was unlocked. The door that was kicked that you're referencing was her bedroom door. She had it shut because she had two puppies in there with her. Yeah. And there was a solid footprint on the door showing where it had been kicked open.
So, as you know, I did let you know that my friend Holly was squirrel holing a little bit. She's still working on some details, so I don't have a lot. but she did get the layout, and from what her and I both agreed is the layout of the apartment structure is it would not be easy to break into that third floor apartment because she looked at all the corners of where the third floor is.
Right.
Even from the outside, she's like, it wouldn't have been easy to break in, but being that the front door was open. So she also asked me about previous jobs, previous boyfriends, a bunch of other stuff, and I let her know what you and I discussed on the phone, that Rachel was an amazing human, and she was like sunshine, you know?
She was. Yeah. Sorry.
No.
Put these under the table. Yeah, she, according to Gilbert PD, they have her phone and her laptop and everything. Their description was she was squeaky clean.
Mm-hmm.
She just didn't have conversations or anything that would lead them to suspect or worry about any kind of activity she might have been involved in or anything like that. Yeah.
I know one of the other things that people were speculating was that the whole thing happened because Dash was stolen, and Dash was her mare, right?
Right. That I believe was just a lot of speculation. It was very unfortunate in the timing, but honestly, I don't believe it was related. After this amount of time, it was wrong and it was very illegal that they did this.
Oh yeah.
But 5 days later, when Rachel's murdered, getting the mare back was critical because that's all we had of Rachel.
Right.
You know? And so we didn't also have the energy or the willpower or emotional strength, anything to take that on legally. Mm-hmm. So we just found out where the mare was, paid the ransom, if you will, and got her back, and kept her on our property. Because at that time, of course, we had no idea if it was related. And so we put up security cameras and locks on, our yard and pasture and everything. But the more time that's gone by, I don't think it was related. I just think it was a very unfortunate situation that happened, but not related to her murder.
I from all of the information I've seen, I do have to agree. And it's
and also when you referred to, the third floor in the corner, hard to break into, I absolutely agree with you. And that is part of the reason I feel certain this was not random. This was somebody that wanted to kill her.
I think it's either that or mistaken identity, because I did dive into with Holly some of the information about the previous tenants, the girl that was living there before. We're still trying to get in touch with the coworker that she had, because you did tell me when the Arizona summers got a little too hot, she did work at that club not too far away.
Right.
We support all shoes in this house. So, you got to do what you got to do to make money.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And she was just a waitress. But even as waitressing, you do get your regulars.
Yes.
And there may have been somebody who's giving her too much attention or somebody like that. So we're just trying to reach out to her. So if we publish this and Joy Marie happens to hear it, or you want to send it to her and she wants to get in touch with me, we can always do a breaking news where we update it. Okay.
Sure. I would be happy to do that.
You saw me. It took me 15 minutes to try and find you this morning. So
yeah.
I mean, I couldn't, I tried locating her on Facebook because I didn't want to use her phone number. I just wanted to try and but the thing that bothers me the most is no cameras.
Me too. I didn't even know that was legal. I still find it hard to believe that it is. But it is. I guess that's up to individual apartment complexes, sadly. And yeah, there were just no cameras anywhere, hallways or coming and going. So
does the apartment complex say that they're a gated community, that they advertise having cameras and everything?
they do, and they are gated. But when they say that, it's kind of misleading because the cameras are in the common areas. Like there might be cameras around the pool and places like that, but they are not at
They
the
should at least be in the parking lot.
right. I agree. And I would think certainly at the gates when people drive in,
Oh yes.
you know, a picture of who's coming and who's going. But no, there aren't. The best, I don't know, that we could get from anybody would be the people around that had Ring cameras.
Right.
You know, I was surprised that the police department did not get in contact with more people near her apartment that might have had a Ring camera that saw somebody walk by or something.
Especially ones that face the stairs.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, just looking at the floor plans, I did send it in the chat so Rachel could take a look at it. The from what I looked at, Holly, they match up. You would have to go all the way through the apartment to get to her bedroom. A lot of the apartments that I lived in had like a tiny little sitting area and then the bedroom and then the kitchen off to the side. Hers, you had to go down a little bit to get to it. So
yeah.
It's still baffling to me. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, from the other things that popped up, which I did shut down because, you know, I have to write down all the possibilities. So one of them being Joe Met involved. He was not. Her fiance loved her more than anything. And, you know, they appreciated each other and loved each other. And he was completely the first thing that I knocked off my list.
Yeah.
Along with
he was like yeah. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yes. Well, obviously, well, I was in Indiana for one thing, so I wasn't even here.
Mm-hmm.
I was babysitting grandkids. And so my husband was here with our other 3 boys when the police department knocked on the front door at 7 a.m. So he took that information and then had to work through talking to the boys and then calling me. So then I was able to make arrangements and get home Saturday night and have another daughter go and stay with the kiddos. And yeah, so my husband was here, but obviously not any part of it. And then Joe Met he actually lived with us for about 5 months after because he was just so emotionally distraught in every way, because not only the loss of, you know, his future and everything, the guilt that he carried and still does and always will, but we really had to work through that with him for a long time, you know, because of course he felt like if he just never left, he should have stayed, and then maybe it would have been both of them, and, you know, all the things. So yes, he definitely is not a suspect in any way. He's like a son to us, and still around over 2 or 3 times a week. He doesn't live with us anymore. He's kind of worked past that, but yeah, but still carries that and will forever.
And I know that you and your husband got matching tattoos.
Yeah.
In honor.
Well, matching Well, we
Kind
both
of.
got one.
Yeah.
I got mine matching the exact same one that Rachel had on her forearm. First tattoo. And my husband got in Roman numerals, because Rachel had tattooed on her arm in Roman numerals her adoption date.
Mm-hmm.
And so my husband got June 4th of 2022, the day we lost her, in Roman numerals on his arm.
So that way she's always...
Yeah. We were new to the tattoo world. Now we both have one.
I have one right here. I have both my
Yeah.
thighs and my legs tattooed.
Yeah. Maybe more in the future.
We do. It was my grandmother sent a greeting card every year. She would send it a week before my birthday, so it would always get there in time. She died 8 days before my birthday, and her funeral was on my birthday. And no, it's fine because she always wanted the attention on her, so it's okay.
Yeah.
But we love my abuela. We do. But the day of my birthday, we're getting ready to go to the funeral. Mailman stops by and he goes, "Hey, you got a package?" And I was like, "Oh, okay. You know, it's my birthday, of course." On top of the package is her envelope.
Oh.
And it was the last thing that she signed. And I was like, oh my God, I still have it. It's somewhere.
Yeah.
Here.
That's awesome.
But
yeah.
It's...
Wow.
Well, this way you can actually have her with you as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. And I also always wear this necklace that I gave her years ago that has an R on it. I always have to turn it around, but I always have that as well.
Sweet.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah.
Well, we're going to go on to a happier topic. I don't want to take too much of your time this morning. So you did start a rescue in her honor, which is something that she really wanted to do. And it's called Rachel's Rescue, right?
Yeah. Right. Yes. We actually started together fostering for other rescues when COVID started, because at that time we had 6 teenagers home from school doing online school, and it was a difficult time. We wanted something happy in our home. So we fostered for 3 or 4 different rescues, and we really focused on large breed, large litters, mama dogs. So we always had puppies. And she did that with me and just loved it so much. And she would always say, Mom, let's just start a rescue. Let's start our own rescue, because you know how to do everything and you do it different. We know better ways to do this. And I always said, oh, thank you, sweetheart, for that vote of confidence, but absolutely not. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do the business side of things, the 501 and the record keeping and all that. I just wanted to take care of puppies. She went as far as even to sit at this kitchen table with a scrap paper and doodle like logos and names and all of that. She was very serious about it. And we just never did that. We always had puppies. We were always fostering. And then even after she was killed, we still had puppies in our home. But after that year, that first year of grieving, I just really realized I had to do something to get my head back in the game. Because grieving is hard.
Oh yeah,
it is.
So it was at that time in June of 23 that I thought, okay, now's the time, because this will occupy my mind and my heart and my time. I had no idea the amount of time that it would occupy, but so I actually did apply and do all the paperwork, and that was really good. It got me focused again instead of just wandering all the time.
Right.
Just in an unsolved case, you can dwell on it so much, as I'm sure you guys know just from what you do. I could just let my mind wander and just go down so many different dark holes of wondering why and how and just all the things.
There were definitely a lot of rabbit holes with this one.
Yes. Yeah. So starting the rescue not only honors Rachel and something she always wanted to do. It keeps me very busy, where I don't have time to dwell as much, because puppies, puppy. They're not chew on the couch.
They get into everything.
They do.
They're like
They
the
do.
little, what is it? Gremlins.
They are. Yes.
I was going to say
they are gremlins.
toddlers.
And most of them are at that age where they're just chew on everything. That just happened to be the couch, so I had to stop them on that. But yes, so we have been very busy, and it's been so helpful having the rescue, because it has given me the opportunity to have conversations with people, not only in Gilbert, where Rachel was killed, but neighboring communities, because we're just a suburb of Phoenix, and we have adopters come even from North Phoenix, sometimes from all over, but in particular, the ones from Gilbert that come to us to adopt, the story obviously always comes up. We're always talking about it because the name, people will usually start by calling me Rachel. And so then I have to explain that was my daughter and this is why and all of that. It is unbelievable to me the number of people in our fairly small community that still have not even heard the story. And that is what is so unbelievable to me and makes me sad. And so that's why we're always still trying to get the story out there. And we've recently, we did have a meeting with Chief Solberg and some of the top people in the investigation, asking if they would why they didn't initially do a press conference, and if they would do it around the second year anniversary, to open it up more publicly to the community and say, this tragedy happened in our community and we need the community's help in solving it. People with answers of something they saw or somebody they heard talk or whatever. Well, the police department never would do that, but they did turn the information over to the Phoenix Police Department that handles the silent witness program. And so we have been working with a sergeant there who is going to help us. He's helping us put together a press conference that will be aired and, out there for more people to hear. So hopefully we'll be able to get that done in the next few weeks.
We will.
And then maybe more people will hear about it and know. I'm finding more people now, because of social media, know about the rescue than they do about why the rescue started. Then they know about Rachel and being murdered. Yeah.
I unfortunately did not know about her story a lot. I knew a little bit about it, but it wasn't until our friend Autumn had reached out to both of us and let us know. My friend Rachel, ironically enough, Rachel is the other the other
right.
But I was like, oh my God, let me deep dive into this. And my husband caught me. I think it was like midnight. I couldn't sleep. I'm just laying on my side, just scrolling. And he's like, put it down. We can talk about it in the morning. And I'm like, there's just so much. And he's like, why don't you put it away for a few days?
Yeah.
We went on our honeymoon and we came back, and that's the first case I wanted to do after we got back.
Yeah. Thank you.
Absolutely.
There is so much going on, and it's just, I just don't understand. But I think probably now that we are working with a private investigator who we are really hoping and praying can do more, maybe further, as you say, diving into some of the things that the police department is not able to. So we're hoping that something will come of it sooner rather than later.
Right. And that's the only hope that we can really hope for.
Yeah. Because that's the frustrating thing. The police department, whenever they are asked, they say they are actively investigating the case. But what they don't say is the rest of the story, which is they are actively investigating the case if or when they get a tip from silent witness, which I try to ask them on a regular basis. And so far, to my knowledge, they've only received one, and it was information they already had. So it was irrelevant. So therefore, they're not actually investigating it. They're just waiting for something to come up. But
I mean, obviously, we're going to be doing. Rachel and I are going to. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Went down the wrong tube.
Let me tell you, coffee, when it goes down the wrong pipe.
Yeah. Oh, I understand.
Not so pleasant.
No.
Yeah.
So, because we do coffee and crime here, you know, we just.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you really want to add on top of everything that we've already discussed today? Anything at all? Do you want to say anything to the people who did this? Do you want to say anything to the public? Do you want to say anything to Rachel? Like,
oh gosh, that's a wide range.
I mean, this next little bit is whatever you would like to say.
Yeah.
Anything at all?
Yeah. Oh, I don't even know. My only thing is just I cannot imagine or understand how something like this could happen. I just it's mind-boggling to me. We live in what is considered a very safe community. Rachel was very close to home. She didn't have anything on her record or was into anything, or she was just a good and wholesome, wonderful young lady that was just so ambitious and starting her life. And I think I had said wanted to be close to home so she could still take care of her mare, but was not working on the ranch and hands-on with horses quite as much. She was trying to move into the real estate business, because that's the other thing that she did when the summers were so hot, was put herself through real estate school. She would spend her afternoons when it was too hot to be out working with the horses, studying and all of that, and had passed the real estate license and wanted to start working in the business, in particular buying and selling horse properties for people, and then help them with the horses there. She had started so young, and she had been through so much physically working with horses, and she also rescued several horses that had been just left or abandoned, were starving, hadn't been ridden in years. Even before she could drive, we would go out somewhere, haul the horse trailer, and she'd get on this horse that she'd heard of, and I would just stand and hold my breath. And she just had a way with them. She was just a horse whisperer. And then we would bring them back, and she would train them, get them saddle broke again, gentle and all of that, and then rehome them. She also did that with BLM Mustangs.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Wild.
Yeah.
But she would go to the pen where they had rounded Minnie up, and she would be able to look at them and look them in the eye and know which one that she could train. And so she did that with several. So she just had such a gift, and she had so much to give. Still hard to talk about. But I know she's in a good place, and I know she's watching, and I feel her presence all the time. So we'll never give up till we have answers.
And that is just all moms can do.
Yeah. Won't bring her back, but I just pray for understanding, because I can't imagine. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's tough.
We're all crying here. It's fine.
Yeah.
We're dehydrated houseplants. We're okay.
You can hold it in, and I can be good for so long. But when you say you talk about her, it's just I have to switch to my water now.
You're good. Everybody who listens to this podcast is autistic or ADHD in some way, so we're all dehydrated houseplants. So even if we do cry, we're just watering ourselves.
Okay. I love that analogy. That's good.
So I am a mom, but I am a mom of feral children. I have kids who adopt me as mom, and it's one of those things where a couple of my kids are still missing, and I won't ever stop looking for them. But it's one of those things where it's like, even talking about them, Rachel knows there's a few I won't even discuss.
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah.
So thank you. Really thank you for being here with us today.
Sure. Absolutely.
Thank you.
And as hard as it is, I always say I will do it for Rachel. So, yeah.
Well, we will do it for her too. Absolutely. I will tell you the exact date because we're going to do it out of order of everything else.
Okay.
We're just going to edit and publish. So the day that it comes out, I will let you know, okay?
And always feel free to reach out as you are investigating and looking for things, finding things. Always feel free to, even if it's a quick text, something I can answer. I think you asked about the apartment number. Mm-hmm. And I haven't had a chance to look at that, but I feel that it should be. The only thing we have from the police department is the, what's it called? The night the call came in and the order that everything happened. I can't think of the name right now.
The incident report.
Yeah, it's that. But there's another, the chronology report, maybe. Okay. Of when she called, how soon the first officer got there, everything that transpired in between until she was at the hospital.
Okay.
Chronology report, I believe, is what it is. That's the only thing that we have, which I'm happy to send to you if that would be helpful.
It definitely, yes.
That'd be great.
Yeah, I'm happy to send that to you. We have asked for over a year for the police report, which they will not release to any media, anybody that's asked, even us as parents. And my husband has been doing some research into Arizona laws and statutes, and that legally they are required to release it to parents, even if it's completely redacted, which we said, take out whatever you need to. We would like a copy of that.
Holly said the same thing, is that she's like, well, did she ask for a redacted report? And I said, yeah, but they won't. And she's like, oh, I'm going to get them. And so she has not answered my text for 2 days. So she has gone down the rabbit hole again. I won't talk to her for maybe another week. And then she'll pop back up and be like, oh, look at all I found. So.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's like 5 reams of paper I've researched.
Yeah. That's awesome.
She writes. Well,
I'm continuing to work on that as well. Just yesterday or Friday, maybe, the investigator that we're working with asked if I had gotten it yet from Gilbert, and I said no. So I'm going to start on that again tomorrow morning. That, and I had also requested the phone call, the 911 call, which they also have not released to us, because there's a lot of confusion over that. The very first thing that came out, and now we're realizing this must have just been from one of the original detectives or something. They said in the phone call, Rachel said, I've been shot by someone I don't know. And I've always pondered that, because that does not sound like Rachel.
No.
She would say, oh my God, I've been shot. I need help. Get here. Call my mom. You know, she would have said things like that. She would not have said by someone I don't know.
Right.
And so I would like to hear that call myself. And also, I feel like that would be in the chronology report. And that wording is not in there. It's, I've been shot. And so I don't understand where that came from or why, but that's why I want to hear the phone call myself, as hard as it will be.
Oh yeah.
And they won't release that either. So I don't understand. And the original detective, who we no longer have contact with because he was very difficult to work with, when I asked and asked and asked for that, also the medical examiner's report, they won't release that either.
I know why they can't release that. They can't, because if they do have the gun and they do have the bullet or anything like that, if the bullet entered her body or entered somewhere on the premises, if it notates how big the wound is, we can guesstimate.
Determine the type of gun.
Correct.
So you're right, and I agree. So we went above and beyond them because they won't release it, and I got all the medical records from the hospital.
Oh.
So I know the entry and the exit wound. So we know that. Yeah, I had to dig deep into that because that's just the kind of person I am. As hard as it was, I needed to know exactly what happened, and then I needed to know everything that they did at the hospital to try and save her.
Right.
So I have that as well, and I can tell you they don't have the gun, but they do have the bullet.
Can you send me the parts from you? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Because then I can, because I was trained as a surgical tech. I was a medical assistant.
Yeah, I'm happy to send it to you. You'd be better at it. I had it open here, and then I had Google open over here, so I could know what all the medical terms were.
I'm not laughing. I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing because my husband did the same thing when he was trying to figure something out for work, and he's like, "What does this mean?" I'm like, "That's part of your foot." He goes, "Well, what about this? Part of your leg."
Well, I just spent hours because I could understand a lot of it, but there were different terms that I had to Google and figure out. But I did. I got through the whole thing. It's like 8 or 9 pages. But yeah, I'm happy to send that to you as well.
I would love that.
So we do know that, and I'm not a gun person, but my husband is. So he was the first one that was on to that as far as the entry and the exit. It entered her top left chest and exited her bottom right back.
Okay. That is different from the information that I got from all of the other sources.
Really?
So Rachel, you have it up, right?
Basically they entered from bottom left of her torso and exited.
You're right.
Top right.
You are right. I'm wrong. I said that wrong.
Okay.
It did go her bottom left torso. That's right. I had it backwards. And came out her upper right shoulder. That's correct.
From what somebody who worked in the emergency room, somebody who did deal with a lot, because I grew up in San Jose. I don't know if you've heard about San Jose, California, in the news at all. It's notorious for gun violence and gang territory and stuff. I lived smack dab in the middle of it.
Okay.
But yeah, not good to walk home at night.
Yeah.
I remember one time a kid came in, and it was a through and through, but it was the same type of wound structure where it went in the lower left abdomen and out the shoulder, but it was because he was wrestling with the other guy with the gun. So that's the first thing that came to my mind is if they kicked down the door, she immediately woke up and probably tried to defend herself.
Yeah, well, that has been really a conversation that we have tried to understand or figure out. I don't know from where the door of her bedroom was to her bed was less than 3 steps. So if the person just kicked the door, maybe 1 step in, took 1 shot, and then left, we were trying to understand the trajectory of the bullet,
it wouldn't have, because if she was laying down, it would have went through the abdomen even a little bit up, but it wouldn't have gone all the way up to her shoulder. It maybe would have gone slightly up to maybe the first part of the chest bone, right, Rachel? If I'm not chest bone, the first rib.
Depending on how she was laying,
Right.
because of gravity. So
Yeah.
if she had been like laying on her side, gravity would have pulled it. But also, depending on caliber and type of
Speed.
gun,
Yeah. Silencer,
type
no
of bullet,
silencer.
it depends on if it ricocheted when it was going into it coming out.
Yeah. So many things about that maybe you'll understand, have more understanding about that with the report and everything.
Oh yeah.
What we were told was the shooter was either not very experienced or was very nervous because he went to, I don't know, load the chamber, I guess, but there was already a bullet in there, so the casing fell or something, and then he was able to load it and take the one shot.
Okay.
So they do have that casing and they do have the bullet. And I think they said they found it in the mattress. It was not, it
On the
didn't go
floor.
through. Yeah, it didn't go through a wall or anything like that. So that's, I don't know. But what I was going to say when we kind of started on this part of the conversation was the original detective, when I kept asking about the ME report, his exact words were, "There's information in that only the killer knows." And that's why they won't release it, which I don't understand, but that's what he said.
Okay, so redact it out and just black tape it.
Yeah. We've asked for a completely redacted ME report and everything, and they still won't. So I don't know. My next thing is I'm going to ask if they will not release it, if I can go there and sit in a room and read it, but not leave with it.
Like with your phone and everything, and just take a notepad with you, and they can even review your notes.
Yeah.
I told you about my friend, the one that's still missing. I did that. I drove to SoCal. Rachel knows I hate flying. I drove to SoCal from Sonoma.
Yeah.
And I spent, I want to say 18 hours in the basement at the police station, just writing on the legal pad, because I couldn't take anything with me, because it was it was an active investigation, and I'm getting goosebumps just
thinking about it.
And so I brought the legal pad out. I had 2 legal pads full just of notes. And he took a Sharpie and he put a piece of paper underneath and just started lining all the pages.
Really?
Yeah, that I wasn't allowed to take certain notes. So I think there was the first tab had less, but the second tablet had, I want to say, 2 or 3 pages of just black ink, and there was maybe 1 or 2 words.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can definitely talk to them and be like, look, I'm just going to bring a legal pad. I'll leave my phone here. I'll leave my keys here. You can search me if you want. At least give them that option. Be like, I know you can't give me the report. Can I at least write down notes so that way I can give it to my peace of mind? Yeah.
I'm really going to try. It's frustrating to me too that they don't contact us. There's no communication from the police department, and this is an active case. Like, you would think they would check in, I don't know, every couple of months or something. Absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
So I've been so busy with the rescue and all that. I mean, it's good, but I also don't want it to be too much that I can't also focus on the case.
Yeah.
And what I can from my part. So I'm really I need to get back to that and be more consistent about hearing from them, because the last communication I had was with the current detective that we're talking to. His name is Halliday, and then the commander of criminal investigations, who I also contact with. So those are the 2. The original detective is out of the picture. I don't know what he's doing. So anyway, I'll be working on that, on my end trying to get what I can, and I will definitely send you what I have from the hospital and the chronology report.
I would like whatever you can give us, and we'll do 2 episodes. We'll do today's with the information that we have, and an updated one with your information and Holly's information as well. So,
I do have a question though.
Okay.
So there was like no pets in the home?
There were
in the apartment?
There were 2 dogs.
Okay, were they in kennels?
No, they were in the bed with her.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I know. Do you guys have a phone ringing, or do you hear that ringing? You don't hear it? Okay, it must be one. There are like 5 teenagers here that I don't know. I know them, but I don't know which ones are here that must have spent the night. And somebody must have set an alarm, and it sounds like a phone ringing. It's been going on for like 5 minutes. I'm about ready to go down, support them with cold water. Yes, she and Jomette had a little pup that was theirs, a little Boston Terrier named Bean. Okay. She might have been on a little bed on the floor next to the bed, but because she was just moving in, the bed wasn't even put together. It was the box springs with the mattress on top of it. They had just gotten it up the 3 stories up to the apartment the night before. And then another dog that she was fostering for me, named Holly, that was about maybe a year old.
Oh, Holly.
Like that hadn't been adopted yet. Mm-hmm. And so actually she was just adopted in the last 2 weeks.
I saw that.
Did you see Holly? I wrote in the adoption that she was with Rachel the night that Rachel was killed, and Holly's never been the same. That's why it took so long. Perfect. And at first I had her for quite some time, and then because the police, they came to see my husband and tell him, and then later, a few hours later, they went back to the apartment and got the dogs and brought them to our house. Mm-hmm. So we had her for quite some time. Well, we had both of them all the whole time Jomette was living with us. And then when he got to a place where he started staying more at his mom's house, he took both of them, and he's had them for this whole time. And just recently decided that Holly would be better in a quieter home where she got more one-on-one attention. So this lovely older couple just adopted her.
I love that.
I saw they looked so happy. Like, you should see the dog, Rachel. Like, I'll send you the picture. The dog looks so happy. Just, I could imagine the tail just like whapping everybody, you know?
That would be a lot for Holly to do that, because even in her pictures, she's, kind of head down. She would kind of slink around. It affected her. Yeah. So, yeah, she did have those 2.
Okay.
And Jomette will always have Bean, the little Boston. Yeah.
I'm trying to get these.
Yes. So, anything else? Any other questions? Anything else we need to talk about?
I'm
not that I can think of. I don't have any other questions.
Okay. Well, like I said, always feel free to reach out, to text me, call, whatever. And
and if you need a break, or if you just need a human moment or a mom moment, as I like to call them, where you just need to completely break down, give me a call, shoot me a text. Okay. Be like, can I have a mom moment? Absolutely. Let me put down whatever I'm doing. I mean, I do it for Rachel. I do it for all of my friends. If you just need.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. There are times. Yeah. Comes and goes. Yeah.
Well, we loved talking to you.
Well, thank you. Thank you for talking. Glad I could just be in my jammies, because I got up early and had to shuffle puppies around. Some are in the front yard, which it's almost time to bring them back in. I used to them out from like 5 to 8 in the morning. Mm-hmm. And then it gets too hot, so they need to come back. Yeah. And then we swim in the afternoon, and then I'll let them have a little outside time again in the evening when it's all shaded and not so hot. So This is a difficult time of the year to have a bunch of puppies because of the heat.
I can only imagine.
Oh, yes.
I live in Texas. I don't leave the house.
Yeah. Oh, my oldest daughter and family live in Austin.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
So
quite beautiful here, but very, very hot.
hot and humid, I would imagine.
Oh, not as humid as Virginia. I like
Oh,
the heat
yeah.
here. Don't get me wrong, I miss my family in Virginia, but California is a nice crisp 65 year round. I prefer that.
Yeah. Understand. And where are you?
I'm in Florida.
Florida.
Um,
Okay.
So
And how do you guys know each other? How did you connect?
the internet, basically.
So that being stated, if you have any information, Rachel's homicide is still being actively investigated by Criminal Investigators Division. This case continues to be the utmost priority to Gilbert Police Department, and we understand how hard, lengthy investigations can be on the families of the victims. We can tell you that all tips and leads related to this investigation have been pursued. In addition to posting this, in February of 2024, in partnership with Silent Witness, they have requested the public's assistance with any tips and information that could help solve this case. They would appreciate any help that they can get in sharing the information on the Silent Witness tip line, which is 480 Witness, and any tips and information related to this case can be submitted. So that being stated, if you have any information, even the smallest little tidbit, I don't care if it's I found a piece of her nail on the floor, I don't care, anything,
Anything could help solve this case.
contact your local authorities, your local police department, which is your non-emergent number, or contact Silent Witness at 480 Witness, which is 480-948-6377. And remember that there is a $7,000 reward still available, and this reward will be given to the one who turns in the information, which will get an arrest. Not just given because you give information. I need you to understand that.
Otherwise they'd go through a lot of money.
Right. We're not in this for the money. We don't get any money from doing this podcast at all.
No.
We just want to get the information out there to people.
If you don't want to call it in because you don't like phone calls, you can submit it at the Silent Witness website, which is www.silent.witness.org.
Which we will have all of that listed on a post, which I will put later out this week. I'll just put all the information on the Facebook post.
Yeah.
So calls into Silent Witness are 24/7, 365. They don't take a day off.
Same thing as the website.
Right. You can submit anything at any time. Those tips are then sent to the active detectives.
Yes.
So when you submit that tip and it leads to an arrest or an indictment, you will get the reward.
Yes, they will get in contact with you and sort out the details.
And let's say you don't want to do that, but you do want to support Rachel and you do want to support her family, you can donate to Rachel's Rescue, which is rachelsrescue2022.com. She's also based in a suburb of Gilbert, Arizona, as her mom stated previously. They also have a GoFundMe available, and that is for incidentals and cost and to help out.
Yes.
And if you're interested in helping out with that, we will be posting it in our Facebook group, which is TPW3M Podcast on Facebook and on Instagram. If you have any questions, please leave a comment on our Spotify. I am exhausted.
I am too.
I am sad.
Yes, very much so. She had such a long and happy life ahead of her, and it was tragically cut short.
I wish there was more that we could do.
Me too.
But the fact that you and I and a bunch of our friends know people from all over the globe, I know I'm going to be sharing this with Tiffany. You and I both know who Tiffany is.
Yes.
And they will share it with all of their Russian and Romanian friends.
Mm-hmm.
I know you're going to share it with Dr. Sister.
Yes.
And they're going to share it with their friends.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't help, share. And if you can't share, post.
Yes.
I hated today.
I did too.
And I'm going to go watch some Disney and some Bluey.
Yes.
Because god damn it.
Right.
Stay spooky, all you wonderful bitches.
Please stay safe.
We love each and every one of you. Please stay safe.
Remember to lock your doors, guys.
Lock it. Good Lord, I forgot. I was reading up on this case last night. I jolted out of bed at 11:30 and said, did I lock the door? I locked the door. I did.
But you had to double check, though. Always remember to lock your doors. And if you have to, double check them.
We'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.
Goodbye.